Apparently, the message hasn't gotten down to West Virginia, but Bradley, snitches, get stitches. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Seventh episode of the morning show, season 4 is here. It's called Person of Interest. And we get a lot of people doing what is best in the preservation of themselves. They are doing what's best for self, be damned what it does to you. You end up with the feds? Cool. I won't. F you. That is how we get a lot of people acting here, and you get to see the true characteristics and the true nature of a lot of people. We've all known for a while, especially in the way that she's treated Corey, that Bradley has a lot of selfish just habits. Everything's about her, what's best for her, what's best for her family. Be damned if what it does to anybody else. And a lot of times she gets away with it, or it's veiled behind this Southern charm, the Southern ignorance, Southern naivete that exists, that kind of just like, oh, well, she didn't know any better, or she's a plucky girl out of her element. No, she knew good and damn well what she was doing in this episode, and it is hard to watch. She's become Corey, which is fascinating. But we start this episode off with Yanko getting a surprise visit from Claire. Claire knocks on his door, and you can see all the emotions that he ever had with her kind of just rush back to the forefront of his face. Because you got to remember, they never had a closure to their relationship, because most of their stuff happened in the secrets, in the shadows. They never had a closing moment of it. And so this is their kind of first time to see each other, because she just vanished into thin air. But she's coming to him because she needs a place to crash, because the feds are coming down hard on her. They have information and files that sort of place her and her group at the helm of a major explosion that happened a few years back. The one that Alex kind of gave to Bradley, all connected. Meanwhile, while Claire shows up at Yanko, Bradley gets a visit from her handler, her FBI handler, who's like, look, stop BSing me. We know you've seen Claire. We're aware. Stop playing with me. And Bradley's like, well, no, I haven't seen her in a while. It's like, stop, cut the BS. I don't want to hear any of that. Because he's like, I stuck my neck out for you. Like, I put you in this position, and they trusted me that you were going to be on the up and up. It's now time for you to pay that back. Like, I know you've seen Claire, so now's the time to cash in those chips and say, hey, where's my turn? Turn it back. Give me something for helping you out. Or if you don't, going to West Virginia, getting back there is going to be the least of your worries. We're going to lock your ass up. And so Bradley's got that self-preservation piece kind of hanging out in the background of her mind, like, okay, I got to do what's best for me, because I ain't going to prison. I'm not a prisoner. My brother, he can be up in there. Me, that ain't for me. So Bradley and Yanko, knowing what they know, one needs to find Claire, one knows where Claire is. They go in the morning show and do their normal morning show routine. And then they get a copy update that Noah, who's the head of Claire's organization, of the environmental extremist, if you will, that he's been arrested and is in connection with the fire of that happened 2 years ago, thus putting Claire as the number 2 in that whole thing, dead in their crosshairs. And they both, Yanko a little less, but Bradley definitely knows that, okay, Claire's a part of this. And so she asks, like, hey, you wouldn't have happened to have seen Claire. And Yanko's like, nah, I got no idea what you're talking about. So Bradley's trying to text Claire, like, hey, where are you at? I'm just checking in on you. Claire quasi starts the message, but then it's like, nah, I'm not responding back to that. And so they both know, or want to know where Claire is, or one does know where the other is. They're not really having that combo quite yet. It is important, though, that Bradley tells Yanko of her connection to all of this. And that makes Yanko sort of like, okay, if nothing else, I'm not telling you now because I want to give her a heads up, but you two need to have a meet. And that's where his brain starts spinning with that. As a bit of a cleanup, Alex and Bro are having a meeting with the New York Times person who asked the questions. It's Chip's right-hand man, Kabir. But it's not going well. Alex is trying to do everything on the straight and narrow to sort of clean up the mess that they've had with Stella and Celine and all the AI stuff. Bro is kind of just being like, it's like a joke to him. Like, he's playing around. But they get asked, like, hey, is UBN fundamentally corrupt? Like, is there nothing that we can do about this? Because, or do they just keep attracting corrupt people? Like, something happens where everything, and it's a little bit of a dramatic piece of the show when you think about it. Like, why does there's a some type of corruption or intrigue or thing that occurs within this building every season. It is getting to be a little light, but I like that they're calling it out. Um, but Kabir straight up asked Alex, like, or here's my question: the one constant in all of these corruptions and all of these pieces has been you, Alex. Maybe you are the reason why this is all going to shit. Alex does feel like there's something to salvage at UBN. And some of it is because she feels like if it isn't, her life has been a waste of time for the last however many years she's been there. And so she is fighting to keep it alive, to keep it going, out of pride that she didn't just waste all of her time doing this and go through a lot of the scandal, some of it on her, to keep everything going. She wants to say that it meant something. Mia comes in to go talk to Ben because now the talks about Chris's contract go through him now instead of Stella, now that Stella's gone. And Celine kind of taking a lead, if you will. And Ben is shutting her down. Like, nah, she's not getting that podcast. We'll give her a 5% bump, but that's all she's going to get. And Mia's like, cool. So a little birdie on the way out gave me some information, gave me some files that you wouldn't want to end up showing up on the New York Times, about some things that are happening within this building. And Ben's like, cool, cool, say less. Let me have a moment, and Celine and I will discuss and get Chris a deal. And so Mia's playing fisticuffs. And so why I thought, and I think in the last video I said I thought Stella was giving Mia the AI program. What she did was just give her a couple of documents that gives her the upper edge and getting deals and things situated for herself at UBN. Because in addition to Chris's deal, she also is asking for a deal for herself. The next day, after a good night's rest for Claire, Yanko's making her breakfast that she sort of remembers. They have member berries at that moment. They both commiserate over their relationship and sort of what made it work. What made it work was that it was in the shadows, kind of like what's happening now. People didn't know, they got to hide, they got to be secretive. But Yanko was like, I wanted more. And I wanted to take it to my parents. I wanted to do all of this stuff. And Claire sort of is finding that out in real time. It's like, oh, you wanted that. I'm sorry. That wasn't what was meant for us. And so there's a bit of regret on both sides, if you will. But more so coming from Yanko, especially because he has a relationship now that he can share with the world. He can be open with. He can do all of those things with. He couldn't do that with Claire. Mind you, it's important to note, he has not informed his girlfriend that his fiance, well, quasi-fiance, they haven't actually had the proposal, hasn't informed her that Claire is there and staying in his apartment. To that point, that Yanko tells her, like, hey, just want to let you know, Bradley's very concerned with what's happening here. And so he decides to sort of posit a meet of the two of them so that they can kind of talk about what's the best thing or best course of action for her to do next. Ben is throwing a staff TMS party to sort of improve morale, if you will. It's a bad, bad timing. But while that is happening, Bradley and Chip are watching some footage of that. Chip went around to talk to the families who were affected by the environmental stuff that was covered up and how some of their kids have grown up with diseases and issues that have cost them tons and tons of money. So he's gotten tons of footage that they're sort of scouring through. It's at that point that Bradley informs Chip that the feds are looking for Claire. And her handlers told her, like, hey, you need to give Claire up. And Chip's like, cool, you're not doing it, right? Because, Chip's a good human being. But Chip's like, you can't give her up. She's the key to our whole story. She's the one. We wouldn't be doing any of this if it weren't for her. You give her up, all of this sort of goes away. The whole point of you coming back just doesn't make sense. This doesn't. That's a terrible idea. I'm just sure you're not doing that. Bradley's like, no, of course not. I wouldn't do that. We all know that Bradley would absolutely do that in that moment. Chip calls her the voice of the people because he's like, look, you always have been the person that the people have sort of responded to. And so you need to keep her there so you can continue to be that voice. Um, at that point, then Yanko reaches out to her to set up the meet. At the party, Chris runs into Ben, and Ben tells her that the deal is set. You got a deal. She thinks that means also going to do the Rio Olympics. She's like, hold on, not quite doing that because there's still a little bit of cleanup there because you did do your illegal thing at the Olympics. So let's hold a beat on that. Because at that point, she's like, look, I don't believe that these Olympic medals belong to me. So like, I'm willing to give them back. And at that point, Ben's wheels start spinning. He's like, okay, good to know. Table that, and maybe they'll use that as a way to sort of get her to do the Olympics. Like, hey, we're going to add and give ourselves some eyeball coverage by saying, hey, Chris is returning to the Olympics. She's going to do the Olympic coverage, but she's also going to return her Olympic gold medals. I feel like that's where that is heading. There is a moment where you see a random relationship that is occurring and brewing between Layla, the actual showrunner of the morning show, and Bro's second. I don't know her name. I apologize, her character name, but on his podcast, his number two, he's basically Robin Quivers. They're having a relationship that is sort of hidden, sort of not seen. And then Alex and Chip have a little bit moment too, where Alex asks for a favor from Chip to be like, "Hey, your New York Times friend Kabir, he's going to write an article. Can you shut that down or like get that to calm down?" And Chip's like, "No, I can't. I'm not doing favors for you anymore. Like I don't work for you. We have a mutual relationship. We're mutually friends, but I don't work for this building. I don't work for this company, so I don't have to do the things that you are asking me to do." And then he kind of calls her out. It's like, look, what happened to you? Like you are operating more like an executive, a person who's trying to do all of these things, hide all of these things as an executive, and less as a reporter. I don't know you anymore. And then he gets the crew and the family to sing a song that is pretty much uh, crapping all over UBN in a karaoke style connection with everybody involved. It's a little fun moment. Alex is like, "Are you serious? What is happening?" And Ben's like, "This is probably a bad idea." It was. Bradley goes to meet Yanko and Claire, and Claire informs her that the explosion was a setup. Like they were there to about to release some damning info on this environmental place, and an explosion was set up to sort of pin on them. And she asks to see the file that Bradley has so she can kind of get to the bottom of it. Bradley sends it to her, and then Bradley and Yanko go into the other room, have a conversation like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you harboring this girl? Like, she's a person of interest. You're going to get jammed up if you harbor her and keep her. And like, does your girl know? Like, what are you doing, Yanko?" After a moment, Claire says, like, "Yo, I have information that disproves everything that's happening in this file." And Bradley's like, "Cool, go get that, get a lawyer, and then go to the feds." And Claire's like, "Nah, that ain't gonna be the order of operations that I'm doing for this. That's not happening." Um, because in the document, she's listed as number two. She's the number two person behind it. And they're like, "Wait, how is that possible?" And Claire's like, "Yo, I funded the whole thing. Like, what do you think I did with all my parents' money, dirty money that I used? Like, the reason I don't have any money or whatnot is because I spent it here." And they're like, "Oh crap, you're deeper into this than we thought." And at that point, it's like, well, then I have to run. Like, I need to be on the run. Chris comes in to meet Alex, and Alex congratulates her on her new deal. Alex also finds out that Paul, her ex, is getting engaged, but she congratulates her on Chris on the new deal. And then she asks her, "What do you want to do with your show? Like, what do you want your show to be?" And Chris is like, "Me and I haven't really come up with anything. We don't know where to start. We don't know what to do. We don't really have an idea of where we want this show to go." And Alex says, "Well, how about you take my asylum interview, the interview with Rio, the girl, I mean, with Raya, the girl who's seeking asylum and her father. Take that." And Chris is like, "Well, hold on, that's your thing." And it's like, "Look, I can't do it right now because this New York Times piece is about to come down and may throw mud on that. And so I don't want to get that all sullied and messed up. You're hot right now. This would be a good jump off for your show." For the first time, I think Alex is looking at what's best for her, for the girl seeking asylum, but also what's best for the network. And look, take it off me. I'm Alex. I'm good. You're getting this without having to go through scandals. You're moving up without having to go through all this stuff. Chris is like, "Well, I had to put my stillborn child on Facet," and Alex is like, "Well, touche. You did. Maybe we don't maybe we don't exchange who's doing worse and putting what on Front Street to get ahead, but." You didn't have to do any sex scandals or anything like that to get here. And Chris is like, okay, I will follow up with the family and see what I can come up with. Yanko's fiance comes to meet him and asks what's going on. Like, are we doing the engagement? Are we not? She actively wants to marry this man. Like, she's like, look, I want to do this. So she just checks him, like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And he says he's sure. He just wants to take a little time. Which is, if she knew that Claire was in that place, might not be the best response. But she doesn't. But you can tell that she's quite hurt in that moment. Chris meets with Roya's father, and he's having second thoughts about defecting, mainly because he doesn't want his daughter to be a countryless person. But being an Olympian, she's like, he keeps wondering, like, is she going to be an Olympian? And she's like, yeah, she may have to do it independently and not be backed by a country. And so, well, that's not what I want. I don't want her to have that. I don't want her to be like not associated with her family or her friends that she had. It's a weird thing to sort of think about this now. And how I'm confused as to how he didn't realize all of this came with the defection. Mainly because he was the person defecting and not her. He was doing it for him, and now he's trying to like preserve and keep his daughter uh getting the things that she had. That's not really, you can't really do both. Yanko comes home with Claire in the bathtub, obviously naked in the bathtub, and they have a conversation right next to each other. And Claire asks him of the qualities, or asks him about his fiance, because she saw the picture on the fridge. And Yanko goes over all the great qualities that his fiance has, and that he plans to marry her. To that point, that Claire lets her know that she's actually scared. She's scared about running. She's scared about not knowing what to do. And she kind of has this like fruitful dream. It's like, well, hey, maybe you can come with me. Like, maybe we can run off together and hide in the shadows together. She still wants that, like, hey, let's, our energy is best when we are like running off in the shadows. And Yanko's kind of like, well, I don't know if that's what I want either. Like, I don't know if that's what I want. And he says, like, a couple of years ago, I would have jumped at that to run off with you in a heartbeat. But now he's sort of thinking about life. He's saying, like, what would happen if the morning show went away? If he wasn't this anchor, what would his life look like? What would he be? What would he have to say? Like, this is what I'm here to live for. And I think he's having in this moment, I don't think running away with you would sort of be the answer that I need. And so Claire gets out of the tub, puts a towel around it, and asks for a hug. She's like, look, can you just hold me for a little bit? And he does. And you can see that it's that moment now where Yanko is like holding her. He has all these emotional feelings for her in the relationship, but now he's just caring for her because she's a person that he cared about and she's scared. And so there wasn't really anything that was like sexual about that hold or that hug. It was kind of like, I'm here for you, as a friend. Because if there was ever a moment to have a sexual moment, it's when she was naked and dripping wet with a towel wrapped around her. And none of that occurs, which is kind of sweet. Would be hard as hell to explain to his fiance if she was aware of it, but it's sweet that we as an audience have seen it. The New York Times article drops, and it is not a hit piece on Alex. Not nearly. Bro has taken sort of the umbrage on himself and told a life story about his really troubled history in his life and his pain. He's done that for Alex, so Alex can kind of like get off a little bit easier on this. Alex calls her and is like, thank you. Like, you didn't have to do that. She appreciates it. And then she offers, like, hey, can you come by? Are you interested in coming by tonight for a drink? Yanko meets with Adriana, his girlfriend. Well, she's coming out of I think a fitness or a boot camp type of gym. And it looks like he's about to separate from her, like, and break up with her. And she's like, you're not about to break up with me in the front of everybody here in the middle of Times Square. And he gets down and proposes. And without all the pomps and circumstances, it's just the two of them. It's a more intimate moment than I think would have been had he done the whole big shebang. But you can tell that this Claire thing that has occurred, he needed to have closure there before he felt 100% comfortable for moving on with Adriana, because that still had an open wound. And I think that hug and realizing that the chase of going off with her and hiding in the shadows wasn't something he wanted. He wanted something more stable, something more thing that he can grow up and grow old. And this woman loves her and he loves her. I mean, this woman loves him and he loves her. And so he actually felt the moment to have that plunge, and they proposed. Yay. Alex meets with Bro. Bro comes over at night. They have a drink. They're having trauma bond who got hurt worse by their family. Bro shows her the scars that his father did to him with cigarettes burned out on his chest. And she talks about the pain that her father, and her mother did to her. Um, and he tries to kiss her, or he tries to like hold her hand, and she kind of like pulls it away. And he says, "I don't know why you're afraid of me." And he's like, I'm not." And then he kisses her, and so they have a moment. They have sex. They make love, and then she dismisses him once the time comes to just like, "Hey, I got a busy day tomorrow. Can you leave?" Uh, and bro's like, "I know what this is. Cool." Because she's like offering to like get him a cab. She's basically treating him like, "Hey, I got a whore or a prostitute for the night. Like, yo, you can leave. I can get a cab for you when you want to be about." Bro's like, "Cool. I see what this is. I've been here before. All good. I'm gonna roll out." And in this, bro, I think was trying to like, "Hey, I kind of dig you, Alex. Like, I would like to do more of this. But if this is all you want, you just want a booty call. Cool. I can do that, and I can be out." Alex is more of afraid. Everybody's sort of doing this self preservation. She doesn't want to be hurt because of what Paul did. Paul is now engaged. That's why I mentioned the Paul engagement piece, because it's playing in her brain. She doesn't want to be hurt. So this is her putting a wall up. Like, yes, I like you. I can give into the carnal urge of having sex, but I don't want you to stay overnight because I don't want to get attached. So I'm gonna need you to get up out. And it sucks because it's hurting bro, but Alex just feels like she's doing what's best for her. Speaking of what's best for them, Bradley tells her handler that her Claire has fled the country. Which her handler's like, "Look, I've watched you enough on the morning show to know that you are not a good enough liar, and I know you are full of shit right now. So you got a couple of hours to tell me where the hell Claire is, because I know she's still here. And if I know and I find out that you've seen her again and you don't inform me, yeah, you are absolutely going to prison." And so um, Bradley is not having that happen. So the next day on the morning show, Claire shows up and is in Yanko's dressing room with Layla because they're setting up to have Claire go on air and lay it all out there. She's getting a 5-minute segment to just lay it all out. And Bradley comes in and sees Claire and is like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And she tells her what she's planning to do. Layla leaves, and Yanko, Bradley, and Claire have a moment. And Bradley's like, "You can't go on air." Now, she's not telling her why. She's like, "Look, if you go on air, you're going to F up me. I'm going to get jammed up, but I'm going to go to the feds." But Bradley is asking, like, "What are you going to get from this, Claire? Like, what are you trying to get from this segment?" It's like, if you go on air and you do this, the Wolf River story dies. Now, what she doesn't know too is if she loses Claire, the Wolf River story is going to die. So it's like either way, it's that part is dying. So you giving that up as an option really is irrelevant at the moment. You're just trying to save your own ass, Bradley. And Claire's like, if she doesn't do this now, these documents are going to die with me, are going to go away with me. Like when I go to prison, they're going to erase them. They're going to say this doesn't exist. I need to put this out in front now, or nobody's ever going to see them. Bradley at that point is like, "She lied to the feds for you," and Yanko's like, "Well, that you chose to do that. That ain't got nothing to do with her. Like, what are we doing? No one asked you to do that." Bradley is trying to seek help, so she calls Alex to say, "Hey, like, what should I do next?" Alex is taking Roya off to go get asylum, so she's not really available, which has been a normal thing because she's an executive. She's been doing a lot of things that whenever somebody tries to call Alex, she's not available. So then Bradley and Yanko are on the air doing their segment before they are about to call up Claire. They break, and then Yanko's going to go prep Claire for the segment. He goes to get her, and then the feds show up because Bradley made that call. Because Bradley is a dirty snitch. And you see them come in. You can see the fear on Claire's eyes. You can see like sort of the sadness that Yanko can't really do anything about this. This is what it is. And then they see Bradley at the end of the hall, sort of just staring, knowing that she just threw Claire under a bus for her own self-preservation. And that is the episode. Damn you, Bradley, you ain't shit. Because the biggest thing here, and this is why this is the messiest, I get self-preservation, and I feel like there's a lot of people who would do the same thing. The problem that I have here is that there is only one person left pretty much in that entire building or this entire show that fully believed in Bradley, and that was Claire. And you just took that and shit all over it. That's painful. That is painful to watch. And Bradley, you can see the look on her face. She's aware of it. She knows it, and she's got to sit in that and live in that. And I would hate to be on the other side of her when Chip and or Alex find out what it is that she did. Mind you, the show does. There's one more part of the actual show. They return back to air, Yanko and Bradley, because they still have a show to do. Yanko and Bradley get back on the air to finish that show, and it's at that point that Yanko vows to never sit next to her at that desk again. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't want to sit next to her either. But that is the episode. It is. I won't say it's one of my favorite episodes, but it does it a lot to show what people will do to sort of protect themselves. You got Alex trying to protect herself by saying, "Bro, I'll sleep with you, but I need you to get about. I can't. I don't want this connection." And Bradley making sure that she is whatever come high or high water, she is not getting into prison. Uh, what did you guys think about this episode? It's interesting that we have anytime that a big story happens in the previous episode, we sort of won't drop it, but we sort of don't have those characters around in the sphere to see what the ramifications are. Like we don't have Celine, Miles, or Corey in this episode at all, which is interesting. They do this like one on, one off, one on type thing. But what do you guys think about this episode called Persons of Interest? Do you agree with Bradley? Would you have done the same thing that Bradley has done? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.